There's a certain kind of pain most men never talk about. The sting you feel when someone you care about speaks to you like you don't matter. Maybe she rolls her eyes at you, mocks you in front of others, talks down to you, or treats your presence like it's disposable. And you sit there, holding it in, wondering why it bothers you so much. Deep down, it's because disrespect makes a man question his worth. And if you don't understand how to handle it calmly, wisely, and with dignity, you end up losing yourself. This video is for the man who's tired of staying silent while his soul gets bruised. Before we dive in, make sure to like and subscribe. It helps the channel grow and supports this journey of becoming stronger, wiser, and more unshakable. Number 1. Recognize the moment you feel disrespected. Most people think disrespect is about the other person. But the Stoics teach that the first thing you must notice is your internal reaction. When someone disrespects you, your chest tightens, your face warms, and your thoughts race. That reaction is your mind telling you something is wrong here. Instead of exploding or shutting down, pause. This moment is the battlefield where your character is tested. The disrespect may come from her, but the emotional storm begins within you. And if you can't control that inner storm, you cannot control the situation. Stoicism isn't about pretending emotions don't exist. It's about understanding them so they can't manipulate you. When she says something rude, tries to belittle you, or test your boundaries, your ego jumps in instantly. It wants to fight, argue, defend, or prove itself. But a Stoic knows the ego is the most reactive part of the mind, and the most unreliable. You must learn to slow down your thoughts, breathe, and allow your awareness to rise above the moment. This is where your strength begins. Recognizing disrespect isn't about being overly sensitive. It's about knowing your standards. A man without standards accepts anything. A man with standards notices instantly when a line is crossed. Not because he's fragile, but because he respects himself. When something inside you feels off, don't ignore it. That silent internal discomfort is your wisdom whispering, pay attention. Many men stay silent because they fear losing the person. But staying silent when you're disrespected doesn't keep someone close. It only teaches them that your boundaries are optional. The moment you feel that emotional shift inside you, remind yourself that silence in the face of disrespect is not peace. It's self-abandonment, and nothing destroys a man faster than abandoning himself. By recognizing the moment you feel disrespected, you prepare yourself to respond instead of react. You give yourself room to think, to observe, and to choose a wise path. In Stoicism, awareness is power. Without it, your emotions will control you. With it, you regain your strength. You stop being tossed by every word or attitude, and you begin to stand like a steady pillar, calm, observant, and grounded. Number 2, address disrespect calmly and clearly. Once you've recognized a moment, the next step is to communicate, not with anger, not with ego, but with clarity. One of the fastest ways to lose respect is to allow your emotions to speak for you. A calm voice, steady posture, and clear words have far more power than shouting. The Stoics believed that a man who can keep his composure in a heated moment shows true mastery of himself. You don't need to attack or accuse. You only need to make the truth known. When addressing disrespect, talk about the behavior, not her character. For example, instead of saying, "You're being disrespectful," say, "I don't appreciate being spoken to like that." This keeps the focus on the action, not the person. It removes unnecessary tension and keeps the conversation grounded. Stoicism teaches us to stay objective, to focus on what is happening, not the story our emotions create around it. Clarity doesn't mean aggression. You can be firm without raising your voice. You can be direct without being cruel. In fact, the calmer you are, the stronger your message becomes. Calmness exposes immaturity. If she tries to escalate the situation, your calmness becomes a mirror that shows her the difference between composure and chaos. Remember, boundaries are not ultimatums. They are standards. And standards don't require force, they require consistency. When you address disrespect, you're not asking her to treat you better. You're showing her how you expect to be treated. If she values the relationship, she will adjust. If she doesn't, her response will reveal everything you need to know. By addressing disrespect calmly, you protect your dignity without falling into emotional warfare. You avoid unnecessary drama while still maintaining your position. You show that you're not afraid to speak up, but also not desperate to dominate. This is what it means to be grounded, to stand firmly in who you are without needing permission from anyone. Number 3, watch her actions, not her apologies. Anyone can say, "I'm sorry." Words are cheap. The real truth lies in behavior. When someone disrespects you and then apologizes, pay attention to what happens afterward. Does she change the behavior, or does it happen again? Stoicism teaches that wisdom comes from observing patterns, not moments. A single apology means nothing without evidence of growth behind it. Many men fall into the trap of accepting apologies because they want the discomfort to end quickly. They want peace, even if it's fragile. But rushing forgiveness without real change creates a cycle. Disrespect, apology, repeat. A Stoic man looks deeper. He gives space. He watches quietly. He lets time reveal the truth. People's actions expose their respect far more than their words ever could. There's a simple principle. If someone respects you, it shows naturally. You won't have to beg for it, fight for it, or remind them constantly. When you request basic respect and someone consistently fails to give it, that is not a mistake, that is a pattern. And patterns are the language of character. Once you see the pattern, you can no longer pretend you don't. If she apologizes but continues the same behavior, you must understand that you are teaching her something, that your boundaries are flexible, that your discomfort doesn't matter. That disrespect has no consequences. Stoicism reminds us that self-respect must come before romance, before desire, and before attachment. The standard you accept becomes the standard you live with. Watching actions instead of listening to promises gives you clarity. It removes confusion, emotional cloudiness, and wishful thinking. It shows you reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. And once you see reality, you can make decisions that protect your peace, your dignity, and your future. Number 4, never chase respect. One of the most painful mistakes men make is trying to earn respect from someone who has already decided not to give it. You can impress someone into liking you, but you cannot impress someone into respecting you. Respect is rooted in their character, not your effort. Stoicism teaches us that the more you chase something outside your control, the more power you give away. If you ever feel like you have to win her over after she disrespects you, pause. Ask yourself, why am I trying to prove my worth to someone who doesn't value me? This mindset comes from insecurity, not strength. A Stoic man knows that his value doesn't rise or fall based on someone's treatment of him. His worth is internal, not negotiable. When you chase respect, you start compromising your voice. You stay quiet when you should speak. You accept behavior you don't deserve. You shrink yourself in hopes that the situation will fix itself. But the more you shrink, the more you weaken your presence. And once your presence weakens, disrespect becomes easier for others to give. Instead of chasing respect, embody it. Through consistency, discipline, calmness, and strength. Your actions should reflect a man who knows his value. When someone disrespects you, step back. Create distance. Let your absence speak. A person who truly respects you will feel that distance and adjust. A person who doesn't will not care, and that, too, is clarity. You cannot force someone to see your worth, but you can refuse to stay where your worth is ignored. Stoicism teaches that dignity is non-negotiable. When you protect your dignity, you reclaim your power, not by fighting, not by proving, but by standing firm in who you are. Respect is not something you chase. It's something you attract by how you carry yourself. Number 5, be ready to walk away peacefully. The ultimate strength of a Stoic man is the ability to walk away calmly when a situation no longer aligns with his values. This isn't dramatic or emotional. It's grounded. It's thoughtful. It's self-respect in action. When disrespect becomes a regular pattern, staying becomes a form of self-betrayal. Walking away is not weakness. It is maturity. Walking away doesn't mean slamming doors or yelling. It means choosing your peace over chaos. It means choosing your dignity over attachment. It means understanding that you cannot build a healthy life with someone who refuses to treat you well. It is the acceptance that love without respect becomes suffering. Stoicism teaches us to detach from what we cannot control. You cannot control her behavior, her attitude, or her choices. But you can control your response, your boundaries, and your presence. When you walk away peacefully, you communicate one powerful message: I will not destroy myself to keep you. Leaving or creating space is not about punishing her. It's about protecting you. It's about avoiding resentment, staying true to your values, and preserving your emotional health. Sometimes walking away is the only path that leads back to your dignity. And when you choose dignity, you always choose correctly. In the end, handling disrespect is about self-respect. It's about knowing that your time, your energy, and your identity are too valuable to be placed in the hands of someone who doesn't appreciate them. A Stoic man stands firm, speaks calmly, watches actions, refuses to chase, and walks away when the line has been crossed too many times. This is not cold. This is wisdom. And wisdom will guide you to a life where respect is not demanded. It is naturally given. Number 6, master your emotional detachment. Emotional detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop allowing your emotions to control your decisions. When a woman disrespects you, your emotional system fires instantly. Anger, hurt, confusion, even fear of losing her. These emotions are natural, but they're also dangerous when left unchecked. Stoicism teaches that a man must become the observer of his emotions, not the prisoner of them. When you detach, you rise above the chaos inside you. Many men respond to disrespect from a place of emotional panic. They want to fix the moment instantly. They want reassurance. They want the discomfort to disappear. But needing emotional comfort is the quickest way to lose respect. A Stoic man remains steady even when his feelings are unsettled. He doesn't rush to defend himself, force clarity, or absorb the blame simply to restore harmony. He allows the discomfort to exist without letting it weaken him. Emotional detachment gives you perspective. Instead of reacting to the tone of her voice, the words she used, or the moment it happened, you see the situation from above. You ask deeper questions. Is this a pattern? Is this who she is? Or is this a temporary reaction? This kind of perspective is impossible when you're emotionally entangled. Detachment clears your vision. Detachment also teaches patience. You don't need to respond immediately. You don't need to resolve everything in one conversation. Sometimes the wisest move is to stay silent for a moment, collect yourself, and revisit the situation later with a calm mind. Her disrespect may be impulsive, emotional, or careless, but your response should be intentional. When a woman sees that you can remain calm, composed, and grounded in moments where most men would crumble, you instantly elevate your presence. Your emotional detachment becomes a form of strength, quiet, calm, unshakable. And in relationships, emotional strength commands more respect than any speech, argument, or display of dominance ever could. Number 7, set limits without fear. A man who fears losing someone cannot set boundaries. He becomes passive, overly accommodating, and easily manipulated. Stoicism teaches that fear corrupts judgment. When you're afraid she'll leave, you'll tolerate behavior that destroys you. Setting limits begins with removing fear. It begins with understanding that no connection is worth sacrificing your self-respect. A limit is not an argument. It's not a threat. It's simply a line you refuse to let someone cross repeatedly. For example, I don't stay where I'm spoken to disrespectfully. That's a limit. It's clear. It's calm. It's non-negotiable. She can choose how she behaves, but you choose the consequences. A man without limits becomes a target for disrespect. A man with limits becomes a standard people must rise to. Most men avoid setting limits because they fear confrontation. They fear being seen as difficult. They fear being abandoned. But the truth is simple. People respect what they cannot easily push. When you tolerate disrespect, you confirm that you accept it. When you enforce limits, you communicate your worth without raising your voice. Limits must be backed by action. If she crosses the line and you do nothing, you have no limits, only wishes. Stoicism teaches that integrity is shown by what you do, not what you say. When you follow through quietly, without emotion, people learn quickly that your boundaries are real. Setting limits strengthens you. It rebuilds your sense of identity. It clears away toxic dynamics and opens the door to healthier ones. A man who lives without fear of losing someone is the most powerful version of himself. And that power doesn't come from aggression. It comes from quiet, unwavering self-respect. Number 8, study the source of her disrespect. Every behavior has a root. People rarely disrespect others without reason. Sometimes the disrespect comes from immaturity. Sometimes from past trauma. Sometimes from insecurity or frustration. And sometimes the harsh truth from lack of appreciation. Stoicism teaches that understanding the cause of behavior gives you power over how you respond. If her disrespect only appears when she's stressed or overwhelmed, that's a sign of emotional instability on her part, not a lack of value on yours. But if she disrespects you casually, often, or without remorse, that's a deeper issue. It may reflect her upbringing, her worldview, her values, or the type of men she's accustomed to manipulating. Never assume you're the cause. That's emotional self-blame. A woman who disrespects you may be battling internal issues that have nothing to do with you, but they still land on you. The Stoic approach is not to personalize the disrespect, but to analyze it. What does her tone tell you? What does her pattern reveal? What does her attitude show? When you understand the source, you could decide your next step. If the disrespect comes from emotional immaturity, you may create distance and communicate. If it comes from a lack of values, you may choose to walk away. If it comes from manipulation, you protect yourself. Understanding the root allows you to respond with wisdom instead of reacting blindly. Studying the source of her disrespect isn't about excusing it. It's about seeing clearly. It turns confusion into certainty. It allows you to make decisions based on truth, not emotion. And once you understand the truth of someone's behavior, you stop hoping for potential and start responding to reality. Number 9, control the frame of the relationship. Every relationship has a frame, the emotional atmosphere, the dynamic, the tone of interaction. When you lose control of the frame, you become reactive. You chase her moods. You follow her emotional swings. You let her energy dictate your own. Stoicism teaches that a man must control himself first, and through that control, he stabilizes the environment around him. Disrespect often enters relationships when the frame is weak, when the man becomes passive, overly available, or overly emotionally dependent. The less grounded he becomes, the more the frame shifts away from him. But when you stand firm, calm, disciplined, emotionally stable, you create an atmosphere where disrespect cannot survive. The frame isn't about dominance. It's about leadership. Leadership through steadiness, not force. A man who controls the frame does so by being consistent in his values, his boundaries, his emotional regulation, and his direction in life. If she acts in a disrespectful way, you maintain your calm. If she tries to provoke chaos, you remain steady. This steadiness resets the frame. In moments of disrespect, don't let her pull you into emotional turbulence. Don't mirror her tone. Don't argue emotionally. When you hold the frame, your calm becomes the standard, and people rise or fall depending on her character. If she has respect for you deep down, she will sense the strength of the frame and adjust. If she doesn't, the disrespect will escalate, revealing the truth. Controlling the frame empowers you. It prevents emotional manipulation, reactive behavior, and unnecessary conflict. It keeps you anchored in your values instead of floating in your feelings. And in relationships, the person who controls the frame is the one who creates stability. For a Stoic man, stability is not just a preference, it is a way of life. Number 10, rebuild your life around purpose, not her approval. The deeper truth behind disrespect is this: it hurts more when your life revolves around the person giving it. When a man makes a woman the center of his world, any negative behavior from her feels catastrophic. But Stoicism teaches that your purpose must come before any relationship. When your life is built around your mission, disrespect loses its emotional power over you. A man with purpose doesn't tolerate disrespect because he knows he has too much to lose by staying in unhealthy environments. He has goals, discipline, direction, and standards to protect. His energy is invested in self-growth, not emotional chaos. When a woman disrespects him, he doesn't collapse. He evaluates, adjusts, and continues forward. Purpose makes you less reactive. When your mind is focused on your growth, your fitness, your craft, your work, and your peace, you don't have time to engage in emotional warfare. You become selective with your attention. Not everyone earns access to your inner world. Not everyone earns the right to influence your emotional state. When a woman sees a man deeply rooted in his purpose, respecting himself, improving his life, and moving forward, she either grows with him or she falls away. Disrespect becomes a reflection of her inability to match his mindset, not a reflection of his value. Your purpose becomes your shield. It protects you from emotional dependency and strengthens your sense of identity. In the end, a Stoic man understands that respect begins internally. When you live with purpose, you attract people who respect your values, your time, and your energy. You stop chasing validation. You stop tolerating disrespect. You stop negotiating your worth. Your life becomes bigger than the small moments that try to pull you down. And when your purpose grows, your dignity grows with it.